day in quarantine, and I am ready for some coffee. But with coffee, you need a little snack to go with it. I'm going to make something. I wonder if you can guess what I'm about to make. Well, I'm sure you figured it out. We're going to make chocolate chip cookies, but with my special touch, because I always tend to mess around with recipes and tweak them a little bit to my own liking and taste. I will be using a little bit of coconut flour to replace the all-purpose flour, and another secret ingredient that I really like in recipes of all sorts are dried apricots. They're so delicious. We'll finally chop them and add those to the cookies. One more secret ingredient, or special ingredient, I should say, cinnamon. You know I love cinnamon. So those are the things that we'll be using today in our chocolate chip cookies to go with our coffee. Starting with the dry ingredients and the flours, we will use 3/4 a cup of all-purpose flour. This is pre-sifted flour, and I like the brand. It comes out very fluffy, but if you feel like you need to sift your flour, go ahead and do that. So 3/4 a cup of all-purpose flour. Oh, one thing I didn't mention yet. Most cookie recipes have a large amount that it creates, and that would be great if you want to save a lot in the freezer, or if you have a very large group of people to give those cookies to. But with David and I always make us small batches of cookies, and we still have plenty of batter to save for other days. So this recipe is essentially half the size of a standard cookie recipe. You can double it if you want to make more. And next we'll have 1/4 a cup of the coconut flour. If you didn't want to use the coconut flour, you would just add another 1/4 a cup of all-purpose flour. That would be a total of 1 cup of all-purpose flour. In this case, I'm using 1/4 a cup of the coconut flour. And next we have baking soda. We will use 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And salt, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And here's where you can add your cinnamon if you choose to. I'm just going to sprinkle it on. I like cinnamon. All right. And that's all for the flour mixture. And next we'll do the sugar, the butter, eggs, and vanilla. Now we have to chop our apricots. And if you, for whatever reason, don't like apricots, you can substitute it with dried cranberries or raisins, any number of things. And I will chop them into very small pieces. That's just my preference. They're very sticky. Now for the sugar, butter, and egg mixture. I have 1/3 cup of white sugar and 1/3 cup of dark brown sugar. You can use light brown sugar if you prefer. And we'll put that in our mixing bowl. I am using my heavy-duty KitchenAid this time. Definitely need that strong motor to mix the cookies together. And we're going to put a stick of butter sweep it out. And then we're going to start that mixing together on low. It's going to cream the butter and sugar together. And if you need to stop it, to scrape the bowl down to make sure the butter and the sugar get incorporated evenly, go ahead and do that. All right, put it back on, lock it, cream it some more. The other ingredients that I have ready to go: 1 egg, very important, vanilla extract. I love vanilla. Then we have a 1/2 cup of nuts. I've got pecans today. You can choose any nut. It could be walnuts, cashews, macadamias, whatever you like, almonds. Those are the apricots. And I have some chocolate chips, and it's up to you how many or how few you like. Okay, the butter and the sugar are nice and creamed together. So I'm going to add the egg. And I'll let that mix together a bit. I'm going to add the vanilla. You can measure it out if you like. A teaspoon would be fine. I add lots of vanilla. I think vanilla is such a beautiful flavor, so I'm always very generous with it. I'm going to turn it a little higher. Now I'm going to start adding our flour mixture slowly, just by spoonfuls. And of course, I'm getting half of it on my counter. Can never keep kitchen counters clean. It's a constant battle. Oh, the coconut flour smells good. Not supposed to touch. It's come together very nicely. It looks beautiful. And that should be enough. Very fast, huh? Now, for the rest of the ingredients, we'll mix those by hand. So for now, I'm going to make sure I get all the part of the beater that still has the mixture on it. I'm going to make sure it gets in the bowl where it should be. And I'm scraping the sides just to make sure I don't miss anything that wasn't mixed thoroughly. You don't want to overbeat it, because then, as in most things for baking, if you overbeat it, it will make it tough. And now I'm going to need a heavy-duty wooden spoon. So if you'll excuse me while I go get it. I love wooden utensils. The wooden spoons come in so handy because they're very, very sturdy and strong. And they're easy to clean too. And I need a sturdy spoon because we're going to fold in a lot of goodies into this cookie mixture, the batter. We're going to put some chocolate chips. And those beautiful apricots. Make sure to get all of them in. And those yummy, delicious nuts. And that's what it looks like before we're going to mix it together, and it's very thick. And this batter, you can cook right away in the oven and bake it, or you can refrigerate it, or you can freeze it. Essentially, it's a drop style cookie batter, which means you just scoop out whatever you want and you put it on the sheet. You can slice it if you refrigerate it and chill it, but if you don't, you just scoop out whatever size cookie you would like. And that's all there is to it. It looks delicious raw, but it needs to be baked first. The oven is preheating, and I'm going to start putting drops of cookie dough on my baking sheet. These are about a tablespoon size ball. I'm not measuring them, I'm just trying to gauge it and keep them evenly sized by how it looks. And I'll be baking 6 cookies today, and then I'll have plenty of batter left to freeze. I did not let this batter chill. You can, and it'll be very good that way too. The last one. I'm going to flatten them a bit, just a little bit on the top. You don't have to, I just am. There you go. Look how much batter is left. I'll put the cookies in for 8 to 10 minutes. We'll be watching them to make sure they don't cook too long, and we don't want them to burn. Okay, the cookies are nice and golden around the edges, and the center is done. So I'm taking them out, and we'll wait just a little bit for them to cool enough for me to move them from the cookie sheet onto the cooling rack. Of coffee and fresh baked cookies. I guess it's time to try one. Now some coffee. Now it's time to chillax with my coffee and my cookie. Thank you for watching.